Hello and welcome to Wizards, Warriors and Words, a fantasy writing advice podcast. I'm Jed Herne, author of Across the Broken Stars.
I am Dirk Ashton, author of the Paternus trilogy. This is book 3.
I am Michael R. Fletcher, author of that book right there on my desk.
Super useful for our listeners.
Hey, that's fine.
I aim to please.
I'm Rob J. Hayes, author of the War Eternal trilogy. There's book 1.
Hey. And we are joined for the 3rd episode in a row by the wonderful RJ Barker. RJ, can you introduce yourself to the audience?
I'm RJ Barker, the author of the forgot what books, the Wounded Kingdom trilogy and the Bone Ships, or the Tide Child trilogy, as I should call it, and have not been calling it the entire thing. I feel like I'm a regular panelist now. So
yeah, you're just part of the furniture at this stage. So
this is how we work. We start getting more people on, and by the end of this thing, there's going to be like 400 authors all vying for space.
That would actually be kind of
don't
incredible.
let anybody leave. Yeah,
it's like this entity that just sucks more minds into it and no one
it's
leaves.
The
Like an
collective.
authorial black hole. Anyway, so this particular episode is going to be a little bit different. We are tentatively calling it the interrogation of RJ Barker. And basically, all of us hosts are just going to be asking RJ a bunch of questions. And this way we can have a very wide-ranging discussion about, all of RJ's books, his writing style, and why he has such a great collection of hats. So who wants to kick this off? Go for it, Dirk. Putting your hand up.
Yeah, I mean, I'm always fascinated by writing a book, and in particular a trilogy or a series is a huge commitment, right? Some authors spend their entire career writing like one series, like Erickson and Malazan, right? I mean, I hope he's still happy with that, because I think of Jim Butcher. He's just writing those books, those Dresden books, again and again and again and again. But even with trilogies, it's a big commitment. And I was wondering, RJ, what was it about Age of Assassins and that trilogy, and then Bone Ships? What is it about these stories that make them the thing that you want to commit to for several years, that make you really want to do, as opposed to, all the different things you could do?
That probably involves a lot more thought than I ever do. As Age of Assassins was a really weird thing in that I always thought I'd be a science fiction writer. And my first novel that went to market was a science fiction novel. And it didn't quite sell, but they said a lot of very nice things about it. And then it was kind of suggested to my agent at the time that I might want to write a murder mystery on a moon base or a space station. I thought, cool. So I started writing that, and then I just had the idea for Age of Assassins. It just popped into my head. In fact, I spoke to an editor called Matilda Imler, and we were talking about our joint love of Agatha Christie. And I think that stuck in my head. And I just had this idea for a fantasy murder mystery with an Agatha Christie style end. And it was really insistent. Everything was in my head. And I emailed my agent and said, I'm going to write this. This is what I'm going to do. And he wrote back and said, a first-person fantasy murder mystery will have to be really good to sell. And I heard, write a really good book. And what he meant was, don't write that book. And we parted ways after that. Though he is a lovely chap, and it was for different reasons, really. But and he set me up with my new agent, Ed Wilson. But it was so strong. I wrote it in about 6 weeks. I just sat and I wrote it, and there was a course of steroids involved as well, which was helpful. If you ever need to write a book quickly, then
Steroid.
Yeah. And it worked, and it only works in a fantasy setting because the magic is intrinsic to it. And it went to my agent Ed, and he said, "Yeah, we can sell this. Give me 2 more." And I was like, "Oh, okay." Then so I didn't really write a process for 2 more novels. I didn't ever think about a trilogy at the start. I just thought, right, okay. I always knew where Gert and Merila, the woman who trains him, were going to end up. So I based the two, like you do like little half-page things that go out to editors with the book on moments in that, because I wanted to write, when I thought about it, I thought, right, I'd really like to write sort of the 3 ages of man, of child, teenager and adult. And that was how I structured the idea of the trilogy, which is 3 pivotal moments in his life that are also pivotal in the history of that place. And that interested me, and their relationship interested me, because it's always people for me, always people. And then the bunch of, I love books about the sea. It's absolutely like Hornblower. Patrick O'Brien's probably one of my favourite authors. I just love Master and Commander as a film, but the books are amazing. With there's a great moment about a sloth in. I don't know if you read them, Dirk.
I've only read the first 3.
I read HMS Surprise with the sloth in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I didn't. I don't think I got the sloth one. Damn it.
Oh, I'll send you a copy of HMS Surprise. Yeah. There's a sloth gets debauched in HMS Surprise, but they're my absolute favourite books. And I wanted to write a fantasy version of Patrick O'Brien's books, and in his books, they're like 300 pages where nothing happens apart from talking about ships, and then 2 pages of action. And that was how I did it at first. My editor was just like, no, things have to happen if they must. But I think that's why Bone Ships takes a while to get going. It's deliberate, it's a choice. But I don't think I could ever do more than 3 in any world, because by the time I get to the 3rd book, I want to do something different. And so I'm like, oh, I'm bored of this. I want something new, because I get bored really quickly.
Cool.
At least you get to 3 books. I mean, some people keep getting to like 2 books and then stopping, don't they, Fletcher?
Fuck off.
There's the 3rd Manifest Delusions book.
It's coming. I got years yet.
Sorry, this is a roast of RJ, not Fletcher.
Yeah,
Yes, we'll get to Fletcher later. I have a question about your writing routine, RJ. What do you have any kind of what's that?
Then it would be done.
What?
I said, Rob, if Rob would get off his ass and write your 3rd book, then it would be done.
Yeah.
Come on. Why are you writing your next book?
Put yourself out, Hayes. Come on.
Yes.
Well, Rob,
Anyway.
you did a great job with this.
That's because I didn't write it. That was Bengali's, badgers. We're going really far down this rabbit hole of in-jokes.
Let's pull ourselves out of this rabbit hole a little bit. RJ, do you have any kind of specific writing routine or rituals that you use to kind of stay productive, or lack thereof?
No.
No.
I write. I sit there, actually, which you can't actually see because it's a bit messy, on the couch, and I write for about 2 hours a day, which equates to about 1,000 to 2,000 words, Monday to Friday. And then there's a lot of faffing about and being distracted by the internet, or I usually have the television on and I watch dramas while I'm doing it. I need to be constantly distracted. But I can really write anywhere. Once I'm writing, that's it. That's all I'm just in that place. It's not a thing. But I don't let myself not write anymore because I'm incredibly lazy. So I have to. And I always find that, I don't know if it's the same for the rest of you, that even if you sit there and think, oh, I can't think of anything, I don't know what I'm going to write, I'm stuck, that if you can write 200 or 300 words, actually you'll end up writing a lot more than that, because you can do that thing.
Yes.
You just need to make yourself do it.
I disappear down the old social media thing where I start getting myself distracted. I'm like, oh, I can't. And then I'm like just scrolling down social media. But if I just stop myself and go, no, just write something and just start. Yeah, I quite often find, like, after the first 100 words, I'm just like, I'm in it then. And then there's another 1,000 words come out of nowhere.
Yeah, just finding that place.
Same
But
thing.
I'm kind of, sorry.
RJ, I have a question for you. So how do you find switching between writing and reading? Do you find that jarring, going from being stuck in your own head, stuck in your own words, to like picking up something by someone else and sort of being able to lose yourself in their story and their prose? I get the impression you don't do a ton of editing, that your first drafts are pretty good.
Yeah, my first drafts are reasonably good.
Yeah.
But it's really weird. My first agent said, does it ruin reading for you? And I was like, no, I love reading. But I've reached a point now, and I think hopefully I'll get over it. I'll change. I'm hardly reading at all. I'm finding it really difficult to read anything. I think Blood Meridian by Cormac McCarthy was the last book that absolutely got me. And then everything else I seem to start and then kind of just fizzle off. But in my defense, because I mentioned I'm chronically ill in one of the other podcasts that we did a few weeks ago now, because I've got a different hat on, clearly.
Definitely not the same recording session.
Yeah, no, don't worry. They're all fooled. We've got them.
Yeah. It's a bit worrying that they're all wearing the same clothes above. So
We're filthy savages.
I look, this is every week.
I have a limited amount of energy to work with, and a lot of the time my choice is write or read, and I write because that's what. But I'm trying to read. I read a lot of non-fiction, and I don't read any fantasy because it feels very much like a busman's holiday at the moment. I read crime a lot. I've just got the new James Lee Burke, who I love, so hopefully that'll have me in. But yeah, I'm finding reading really hard. It's switching off that bit of my brain that goes, what would I do? It's not critical. I'm not thinking this isn't good. I'm just thinking, what would I do? And it won't stop, and I can't settle. And I find it tiring because it's the same.
I'll be reading it and I'm deleting words from sort of overly wordy sentences as I read. I'm like, didn't need that one, didn't need that one, didn't need that one. I'm like, fuck, this is not fun anymore. It's not pleasurable.
I'm not enjoying it. I'm trying to make it me, and it's really annoying. And hopefully, but I think it will pass. But have you read Blood Meridian by Cormac? Oh, does it? Try Blood Meridian by Cormac McCarthy because it's an astounding. And I need someone to talk to about it because I have this theory.
I love that book.
Did you?
Oh yeah, I love McCarthy. All the Pretty Horses, The Road. Yeah.
You said started the road and I hated it.
No Country
for Old Men.
Yeah, I've read those 4.
I hated The Road. Absolutely hated it.
I loved it.
The Road is the only one I've liked.
Yeah, but I'm gonna go and read all the others because the others are more westerns, aren't they? I love a western.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But
all the Pretty Horses is just amazing.
Okay, that's my next one. Then. So I'll try that. But I'm hoping the new James a bit. And I started reading oh gosh, what's his name? It's called The Sunken Land Will Rise Again, and that's a lovely book. But it's one of those books where it's very subtle and not much happens. And maybe I'm not that literary. I keep thinking I want something to explode a bit.
Yeah, I know a lot of writers. I mean, writers are split all the way across the board. I know writers who simply will not read because they either fear or know that it will seep into what they're writing right now. They read in between writing. They'll take some time off, do some reading, and then go write again. I'm one probably more like Rob. I know Rob and I are two that read all the time. I read every day. At night for just about every day at night for half an hour to sometimes 2.5 hours, depending on, the book and what I have to read. I get really anxious if I don't know what my next read is.
Me
actually.
Too.
When I finish one, I've got another one lined up.
Yeah.
TBR there.
And it's so insane. It's sometimes really hard to choose. And I feel I owe a lot of reads to a lot of people that have read my book. So I'm like, but yeah, I have to read. It's my writing, I think, starts to get stale if I don't continue to read. And I never get. It's weird. I'm not gloating, but I never get writer's block. Sometimes I don't want to write, and I don't know exactly how I want to start a chapter, perhaps. But like Rob says, if I just start writing and just throwing crap down, within 5 minutes, 10 minutes, I'm into it, and then at least I can crank out words.
It's really weird. The last thing I read a lot of was Robert B. Parker's Spencer book. Spencer for Hire. Mm-hmm. And they're detective books, and they're really simple, and they're basically all the same, but they were like sweets. And I read them while I was writing the Bone Ships, and I just like, there's 47 of them, and I just went through them all, and that was all I read obsessively. And that was good because they were not any mental work at all, which I quite liked. They were nothing like what I was doing. But I do feel like reading has sometimes been stolen from me. I'm quite jealous of people that are reading because I want to be. It's really
Have you
annoying.
tried audiobooks at all? I've heard that works for some people.
You see, I've always fallen asleep with the radio on. So as soon as I put something on that's voices in my ears, I fall asleep because I've trained myself to do it. So audiobooks, I just miss most of them.
I can't focus. If I'm in a car, I could do it on a long trip, but otherwise I just can't.
I'm the same as Dirk. It's like I can't just sit on like a sofa and stick an audiobook on because my mind just drifts off onto something else. But I tend to listen to them when I'm walking the dog, which is perfect because I concentrate on the words and everything, and it just helps focus me. But yeah, I can't just sit still and listen to an audiobook. That doesn't work.
Maybe we should get a dog.
Definitely get a dog. Always. That's the answer to everything.
You've got a birdie. You've got Birdie. You don't need a dog. You've got a cat.
Yeah, he does come for walks with us as well.
I know. I've seen the video. It's awesome.
There's a limited distance you can go before he gets upset.
I've got a question. As far as your style of writing, and even kind of your narrative style, perhaps, who do you think you're most like? And you try to be, I mean, if it was me, I'd say I try to be as good as, but I never will. So who do you aspire to write like, or do you think influenced your prose style the most?
The person I would aspire to write like is James Lee Burke, the crime author, he writes books they're books about violence. That's how they always feel to me, and you know it's coming, and the main character knows it's coming and desperately does not want that, but they're beautiful. They're just worded beautifully in a way that I cannot do, but I love to read, and that kind of growing sense of this terrible thing is coming is a thing that I really, really like. That's something I definitely tried to do in the Assassin books.
How would you describe his prose style that you like so much?
There's something
I know it's not easy, but
there's something quite dreamlike about it. It's all based in the deep south of America and in the swamps, and it kind of makes it feel like a fantasy landscape. And it's slightly supernatural. There's always something. I think he's gone very supernatural with his latest one, but there's a book called In the Electric Mist of the Confederate Dead, which they made a terrible, terrible film of. And it's one of my favorite books. And he's spiked early on in the books, and you keep seeing and having conversations with dead Confederate soldiers. And there's this dry lightning, and there's no sound, just this flashes of lightning. It's just really hypnotic and strange. And
that sounds awesome.
Yeah, and I think in the Assassin book, especially in the dream sequences, I was going for this kind of feel of something off kilter and odd. But he's an amazing writer. And the other one's Bernard Cornwell. I really like his King Arthur books. I think are superb.
I have to admit, I've never read any Cornwell, and I have to.
His Winter King books are brilliant, but I don't think a lot of people like his Saxon books. But I would say that they're a retread of the Winter King books, but without the is the magic, isn't there? Possibly that's sort of gone from the Saxon ones, but it's the same character really. But his King Arthur ones are brilliant. Have any of you read the Winter King books?
No,
Nope.
we have failed.
Yeah.
We are a miserable failure lot.
I've only read his, the Uhtred Chronicle. Well, I've read a few of those.
Yeah, they're after, and Uhtred is basically Derfel, who is in the Winter King book. That I'd say the Assassin books end with him saying about his king, my brother, my friend, and that's directly stolen from it's just a nod to Bernard Cornwell's Winter King books. But yeah.
All of Fletcher's best stuff was stolen from me. So.
Because it was written by you.
So true. So
Speaking of Fletcher, actually, it is time to quickly pause for our featured book for this episode. And I gave you 0 warning before this, so let's see what you can pull out, Fletcher.
I'm good.
But it is
I'm
your
all
turn.
set up. So This is Children of Time by Adrian Tchaikovsky. Apparently, I didn't write it. I'm kind of upset by that. This is hands down the best science fiction book I have read in the last decade. It caught me totally off guard. I had no idea. I bought it on a whim because it won an Arthur C. Clarke Award, and I thought, well, maybe it'll at least be kind of good. And it fucking blew me away. It is just ridiculously good. It is
Children of Ruin.
envy-inspiringly good, and if you like science fiction, it's good.
I have to read it. I haven't read any sci-fi in a long time, and Adrian is such a lovely guy too.
It's genuine. It's amazing, and even worse, Children of Ruin, the follow-up.
Yeah,
it's better.
Yeah, it's.
They did.
I don't like him anymore.
Now I know I have to get on.
Yeah,
the good thing is,
Children of Time.
Adrian mentions a book called Other Minds at the beginning of Children of Ruin, which is a book about octopuses and how they think. And I put him onto that. And according to my agent, legally, that means I wrote at least half the book.
Hey. Expect those royalty checks anytime soon.
Well, my lawyers are in touch with him about royalties, but he's seriously unwilling, strangely. But yeah, Children of Ruin.
He's such a great guy too, and he'll just hang out. You would never know that he's like such a huge author if you didn't know. You know,
he lives just over there, literally. Yeah,
really?
he lives
right there in the corner of your room.
Yeah, just hiding there, like hi.
In American terms, yeah, it's about half an hour, sort of that way.
Wow,
yeah, we meet up quite a lot. Yeah, it's
Do you?
lovely.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
Man, the connections.
I'd like to be able to talk to him some more. I've only talked to him briefly a few times.
I'll ask him if he'll do this. He'd probably love it. He's
Yeah, we'll definitely have to, look into having him on as a guest. Mike, do you want to just give us like a really quick synopsis of what Children of Time is about, just in case people have like no idea?
Oh, yeah. No, I don't. Oh, Jesus. No, fuck off. Just get the book. What? I'm not telling you what it's about. Jesus, we're going to spoon feed you this shit. Go buy the book. Fuck off.
Are there spiders in that one?
Yes.
Okay, so there's spiders in it, and it's really good. That's all you know.
Sort of like the evolutionary process and how, like, a different species could rise up alongside humanity and with a different society based upon entirely different values. And also, humans are scum.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Nice work, Rob.
I know loads of people that really don't like spiders, but by the end of that book, they're like, I'm Team Spider. That's what I'm here.
No, sure. I hate spiders, and I listened to the entire book, and I still fucking hate spiders.
There's usually
more
about
so because it has just about the most, or somehow wholesome yet also horrific ending imaginable, which kind of blew my mind and also made me feel really dirty and horrible. And I just
I think what he does really cleverly is kind of space off of. You're used to it building up to a big space battle, and then he circumvents that expectation without it being disappointing.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, it's really clever. And the second one, for my money, I'd say he went up another level to do.
Yeah,
that.
to check that out. I've definitely heard a lot of good things about it. So yeah, we'll definitely be putting that on the reading list.
Yes.
I love how this is an RJ episode, and we've spent more time talking about other authors.
Yeah, I was just going to say, let's get back to. We have about 5 minutes before the
question.
cuts
Anyway,
out. Go for it, Rob.
I absolutely loved your Wounded Kingdom series. To be honest, I thought it was fantastic. I describe the first book as it's a murder mystery from the perspective of the assassin without a murder. It's brilliant. But you do some really interesting things in it, along with sort of like the formatting and everything. I mean, you use things like sentence fragments and other things, but you also have like sections where the actual formatting, you get like a couple of words on one line, and then you'll skip a line and you'll have an entire sentence, and you'll skip a line, you'll have another word, and it gives it a very sort of disjointed, mysterious feel. And I wondered, did you have to fight to keep those sections formatted as they are?
Yes and no. It was okay in the first one when I did it a little bit, and it was okay in the second one when I did it a little bit more. And Orbit were never anything but supportive about it. In the third one, it's actually not right, because we just couldn't typeset it the way I wanted it to be typeset. It just seemed to be impossible. There's some stuff that's right in it. There's I'm trying not to give it away for the readers. There's where it's kind of justified left and right and center, while you experience three characters' point of view at the same time. But there's another bit where Girton he's hearing four voices at the same time, and they're split across the page, and they're kind of giving him prophecy. And it was meant to just be quite confusing and leave you quite confused and with the kind of feeling of what they'd said but not quite sure, which it does. I think that's still there, and that's fine. But there is a version of it where if you read down the page under the names of the four people speaking, you got four different prophecies that told you what would happen in the rest of the book. And it just couldn't be done. It just wouldn't typeset, no matter what they tried. We did everything. I was like supplying versions that were color coded with where I wanted the text to go, and it just didn't work. I was absolutely gutted. It was just like, I couldn't look at the book for like 6 months afterwards. I was like, oh, it's not what I want it to be. But it doesn't matter to the reader because the reader doesn't know that. And they get what I wanted, which is this sense of confusion from it. But I just thought it would have been a nice. One day I'm going to put it on my website so you can see my version of it.
This is how it's meant to be.
Yeah.
Authors prefer
And then you can find out it's not nearly as clever as I thought it was at the time.
Do we have any
But
other
yeah.
questions before we wrap this one up?
I just blew my question. That was it.
Yeah. Add the one spent.
Sweet. Yep, Dirk.
No,
About 2
I
minutes
was
left.
just going to say, we've had many conversations on Twitter about antlers, and I was going to just ask, where does your interest? I'll just use the word interest in antlers come from.
Are you aware of 2000 AD?
Yeah.
The comic. There was a thing in that called Slain, and in Slain there is the Droon Lord Weird Slough Feg, and I can see a picture of one of his Droon lords who are like his servants, on a horse with a mask on that has a massive pair of antlers coming out of it. And whenever I close my eyes, I see that picture. I was just have seen it. I was just obsessed with it. And Robin of Sherwood, it had Herne the Hunter who would appear out the woods in some big antlered headdress. And I think those two things just stuck in my head. And there's also something about the antler itself as kind of a symbolic thing of renewal, and because it falls off, it comes back.
Yeah. Yep. Sheds and sloughs. Yeah.
Yeah, and then it comes back bigger, and I like that kind of. It comes back bigger and better. It's gone, and then it comes back, and I like that. And there's just something really beautiful about, and they're not horns, they're antlers.
I love that.
Yeah, and they're good shapes, all these interesting shapes you get. So I think I don't realize how much nature plays a part in my books, but I must be slightly more obsessed with it than I think I am, because it is definitely a big part of what I do, especially the next thing, which I can't mention.
Ooh, well, that is an intriguing note to end us on. RJ, thank you so much for joining us for these last 3 episodes. It's been a blast
Yeah, thanks.
working with you.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
been
go hang
lovely
out.
meeting you. I don't think I've met Michael before either. I've
No.
vaguely spoken to you on the internet. I've never actually spoken to Michael before.
Great
Which is-
stuff.
Yeah.
Your brother met me.
Kind of disappointing, wasn't it?
On
I
that
didn't bring
savage
up-
note. We are going to run out of recording in any second now. So yeah, thank you so much everyone for listening. Again, send in your questions, thoughts
Thank you,
to
RJ.
us. Thank you, RJ, for joining us. See you, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for watching Wizards, Warriors and Words. If you enjoyed this, please be sure to like and subscribe to the channel so that we can keep growing this and keep sharing our writing advice with more authors. Thanks again for watching. I'll see you next time.